Let's hear from some of our stars up here on stage. We're going to go straight to the top. Our warriors from the main bout. I'm going to go to Tyson Pedro first. Tyson, taking on a pretty audacious challenge here, as Denny's just outlined there, with the history of your two respective careers. What is it about this challenge that you're taking on that you wanted to approach it and challenge yourself with this in making your professional debut?
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be worth me trying to pull the wool over the Australian boxing community and the boxing fans' eyes. So if I came out here and had an opponent that was maybe a walkover or anything, there wouldn't be any point in doing it. So I wanted to have a hard opponent. I wasn't planning on taking any easy fights, but we expected that the whole way through the card, everyone to have good, hard fights and, put on a show for the boxing community.
Kris, we just heard Tyson talk about he didn't want to pull the wool over the boxing community's eyes, but you are an Australian champion. You have fought some of the hardest people in the ring. You're number 5 in your division. Do you feel somewhat disrespected that Tyson sees he can step into the ring with you as his first professional fight?
First off, I just want to say massive thank you to Stan Sport, obviously Green Promotions for getting me on this platform. Thanks to Tyson for picking me, because like Danny said, he chose me out of a bunch I'm sure he could have chose from. I don't know if it's so much disrespect. I think any fight's a challenge, especially at this magnitude, but I'm just looking forward to represent boxing, show the art of boxing and show the skills that I know I can perform on the night.
Tyson's obviously had a long and illustrious UFC career after a short amateur boxing career, but do you think in the way he's coming into pro boxing, is he biting off more than he can chew?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think it's funny, in Aussie sport, you look at combat sports, UFC, I was always backing the Aussie. Tyson, Volkanovski, obviously Robert Whittaker, all these guys, Bam Bam, all these guys where you'd never think they're going to cross over into our sport. You always G'ing them up, bigging them up. I'm thinking, you want to back them. But coming into my sport now, I've got goals and aspirations of my own. I look at the likes of George Kambosos, Jai Opetaia. He's someone I'm inspired by, seeing what he's doing on the world stage, and I'm this close to getting there now. I'm ranked number 5 in the world. This title that we're going to compete for is going to bring me to that level, and that's what I'm aspiring to be. I want to be mentioned along those names, your Tim Tszyu and those sorts.
It makes it a lot harder path when you have a loss to a 0-0 boxer.
That's the kind of lead up we want into this fight. Just hearing that, Tyson, what do you make of someone saying they think you have bitten off more than you can chew?
I'm glad he thinks that. It's the way that he feels about that. It's going to be very hard for him to come back from having a loss to me. So I'm excited that he thinks that I've bitten off more because I'm the underdog. So there's no pressure on me. It's a lose-lose for him. If he loses to an MMA fighter, it doesn't look good on the record.
Is there somewhat risk here, Kris, given he doesn't have a fight in his professional boxing career? For you, is there risk? Yeah,
I suppose there's an element of risk, but with great risk there's great reward. Like I said, this is going to put me super high in the Bridgeweight rankings. It's an opportunity for me to elevate my career against, obviously Tyson's coming into boxing, but we're very similar in a sense of, I think we've both had 15 fights in combat sports. We're both sort of similar age, height. We're both fast and explosive. I think it's a good matchup in terms of, what we're going to deliver on the night. I just think it's very hard. There's having a fight and then there's having a boxing match, and there's a lot of nuances in boxing. There's not a chance I'd step in and take Tyson on in an MMA fight in 9 weeks. I wouldn't have the time to prepare, and I think that's the difference. You can go in there and throw punches, but there's a lot more to it.
John, I want to throw it over to you. You've trained your son in combat sports virtually since he could walk. But as a father, how do you feel about your son taking on such a formidable opponent in his professional career to start it off?
G'day, mate. I'm just G'd up about this whole stand thing. See how I put all the sponsors in there? It's exciting. It's exciting because, you wake up in the morning and people want to climb Mount Everest. This is his Mount Everest. He looked over to me and goes, "Dad, I want to go to boxing." I said, oh, that's a hard one. But I've said the same answer I've always said. Let's go. Let's do it. That's his Mount Everest. He's going to get up every morning and he's going to punch the bag. He's going to do the road runs. He's going to do everything he has to do. That's a beast over there on the other side. And but Tyson's always loved that. You look at, he had 2 fights in the UFC, and then they threw him off to fight all the top 10 guys. So he loves challenges. He loves fighting. He lives for this stuff. So, yeah, as a father, well, first coach, you're like, get in there and fuck him up. But as a dad, you're like, hey, son, can you play badminton or maybe chess to give my heart a little break? But other than that, I'm with him. We're going to be up every morning. We're going to be doing 3-4 training sessions. He's going to be giving 150%. So when we get in there, I think we'll make the people proud. It's what the Aussies always done. Have a go, mate. Have a go.
Apologies for the swearing. Dad hasn't been media trained.
Sorry, I don't even know how I ended up here. They just told me come up here, and so I went, fuck it, this is it.
We're glad you're up here, mate. You could be a promoter as well as a trainer, Johnny. Thank you.
Thank you, G-Dub.
Chris, just heard John describe you as a beast. Now, as we know, it's been said already, you dominated hard as nails man in the front row, Paul Gallen, for the Australian heavyweight title. Very few athletes in rugby league and boxing can say they dominated that very tough warrior, that competitor down there. You can say you did that. So do you think this fight's going to be easier than taking on Gal?
I think it's definitely going to pose different challenges. The fight with Gal was definitely the hardest fight I've ever had. You know, the testament to his heart, his fortitude, his toughness, his ability to keep going. Like, it helped me grow. It was the best learning fight for me and a development fight as a fighter, to be in deep waters, to go 10 rounds, to feel that experience. It's only going to serve me so good in this fight. So, you know, I appreciate Gal. He gave me a mad opportunity at the time, just like I appreciate Tyson. Like, it's going to be cool, you know. I was lucky enough to get a good win over against an NRL superstar, and now hopefully I can get a good win over a UFC superstar. So my resume won't be looking too bad after that, I feel. Like, again, like being on this stage, like Danny said, it's for fighters. We're coming up, we're on small shows, like, you know, there's only a select few that get a really, really good push. So I'm just so blessed, man. Like, that was I'm pretty sure me and Gal, we almost sold, it was the 3rd most highest pay-per-views for that year. The only ones that beat us was Haney and Kambosos. So that was more of a credit to Gal pushing the show. But, you know, to get those type of eyeballs, and then again, like, we've got Stan Sport, pay-per-view, like, again, I'm just so, so grateful for this opportunity. And that's why I'll be training hard and killing myself for 9 weeks, you know, taking myself to some dark places, because ultimately, you know, this is the biggest stage and this is where I want to shine.
Rob, to you, along with legendary trainer Ray Giles, he trained legendary fighters such as Jeff Fennick, Lionel Rose, but you both have great confidence that Kris is going to go into this fight and win, but are you worried about the power that Tyson possesses?
We're aware of the problems that he can pose to us, but we'll do our job on our end and train hard, because we'll come back on June 12th and do a job.
Is there a different way you approach this fight, given Tyson's come from UFC and this is his first professional fight? Do you do anything different in training with Kris leading into it?
There'll be adjustments made in our camp, but yeah, I think we'll be all right on our end.
Keeping your cards close to your chest, I like it. If you want to ask a question of any of our guests up on stage, just ask you to raise your hand and stand up and throw it up this way.
Why now? You've had a good UFC career, you continued with that. Why did you decide to make the switch?
If not now, then when? So it felt like a good time. I'm in my prime. And also, the big point of it was because I wanted to be back with my family, back here training. I've been away from my daughter for 12 months in the last 2.5 years. This allows me to be at home with them. And also, I think it's the legacy as well. You see a lot of the Australian champions in the UFC and the mixed martial arts in general, and after 3 months, people have forgotten about them. But you see in Australian boxing, there's champs that have remembered for their lifetime. You've got Danny Green, Jeff Fennick, and people remember them. So it's also about legacy.
Kris, you talked about fighting for Gallen. What did you learn outside the ring in terms of promoting the fight, the outside noise, all the other stuff that comes with a pay-per-view?
Yeah, man, it was definitely a few lessons I learned outside of the ring with Gal. I think that's probably where Tyson's probably got the experience over me, you know, being on these big UFC platforms and stuff like that. You know, obviously, we're all going to give it everything we've got in the ring, but this is the new added on things that happen on the big stage. So again, I'm just embracing it all and trying to take it all in. You know, we only live once. It's a short time on this place. So, you know, having opportunities like this is just, it's grouse for me. You know, got my mate Rob up here. You know, we've been training together since we were 15 years old. He was bloody shitting himself up here on stage. So, you know, if I can bring my friends and family on this journey with me as well, like it's just a good buzz. You know what I mean? So I'm super grateful again, and it's going to be an awesome show come June. In terms of what? I'm not too sure, man. Like obviously, you know, people. We looked at it, and when Francis Ngannou came over to boxing, you know what I mean? It's a different type of game. I don't know. There's too much you can take from it. You know, obviously, I know Ty's got a solid right hand. He's fast and explosive. But I think for this one, you know, I like to really study my opponents. But I think for this one, it's more about what I'm going to bring, focusing on my strengths, and I think, you know, that'll make the difference.
Also, thank you everyone for coming out. We've got a couple names in the building, and thank you very much. It means a lot. Thank you, Stan Sport. Thank you, Danny Green, for putting this on. See a couple names out there. And I think Ned Brockman and Bam Bam Tuivasa just rocked up, Billy Dibb. So, did you guys run here together?
Tawana, one for you. Taking on a sparring partner in Ella. What do you make of this challenge? Have you got the inside running? You know what's coming your way in the ring?
Yeah, me and Ella have done hundreds of rounds together. It's definitely a step-up fight, but everything about this fight excites me, so keen.
We're all very excited. What about you, Gal? You're here front row. You got a question for either the man that beat you or the man that's challenging the man that beat you? Or just some sage words of advice, maybe?
No questions. Like, man, the best man win. They're both good fellas. Done a lot of rounds with Tyson, obviously, for Kris. And like I know Tyson, without doubt, can hurt Kris. But Kris is a slick boxer. It's going to be a really good fight. I'm looking forward to it. And may the best man win. I'm back in Tyson, got to be honest.
Gotta get him back.
Thank you, Gal. G-Train, appreciate you being here. Paul Gallen. We're going to get our two main bout fighters together now for a face-off. Move this lectern out of the way, bring them face to face for the first time. Just get the hold here for photo opportunity. Face off again just so we get the photos done. We're only 64 days away, ladies and gentlemen. June 12 is the date where Uncaged will go down. To order and watch Uncaged pay-per-view, customers will need an active Stan subscription. Stan subscribers can order the pay-per-view at stan.com.au/pay-per-view from tomorrow. So you don't have to wait long to get yourself the pay-per-view for this one. Tyson Pedro, Kris Terzievski. Of course, Green Machine Promotions.